The sun was setting over the sprawling expanse of Pinecrest National Park, casting long shadows across the dense forest. The air was cool and crisp, carrying with it the faint scent of pine needles and damp earth. For Alex Carter, a seasoned park ranger with over 2 decades of experience, this evening was just another routine patrol. He had seen it all in his years here. Wild animals, lost hikers, sudden storms. But nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to encounter. It began as any other day would. After finishing his morning rounds, Alex decided to take an extended route through the northern part of the park, an area known for its rugged terrain and sparse visitor traffic. It wasn't uncommon for people to wander off-trail in search of adventure, but today felt different. A strange unease settled over him as he navigated the winding paths, his instincts telling him that something wasn't right. As the afternoon wore on, Alex received a distress call from the park headquarters. 2 children, aged around 8 and 10, were reported missing near the old Maple Trail. Their parents had last seen them hours earlier when they ventured into the woods to collect firewood. Panic gripped the small family campsite, and now it was up to Alex to find the kids before darkness fell. Without wasting a moment, Alex grabbed his gear, a flashlight, first aid kit, water bottle, and radio, and headed toward the coordinates provided by the park authorities. The trail leading to the old Maple area was steep and treacherous, littered with fallen logs and loose rocks. But Alex moved swiftly, his boots crunching against the dry leaves beneath him. His heart raced not out of fear but determination. Every second counted. After nearly an hour of searching, Alex finally spotted signs of life. In the distance, he heard faint whispers carried by the wind. At first, he thought it might be his imagination playing tricks on him, but then the voices grew louder. Following the sound, he pushed through thick bushes and emerged into a small clearing where he saw them. 2 terrified children huddled together under a large oak tree. They looked pale and exhausted, their clothes torn from scrambling through the underbrush. One of the boys clutched a stick tightly in his hand, while the girl wrapped her arms around herself, trembling uncontrollably. As Alex approached cautiously, trying not to startle them further, he noticed something peculiar about their demeanor. There was a look of sheer terror etched onto their faces, one that went beyond being lost or scared. "Hey there," Alex called out softly, kneeling down so as not to appear intimidating. "I'm Alex, the park ranger. I'm here to help you." Neither child responded immediately. Instead, they stared at him with wide eyes, as if deciding whether or not to trust him. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the older boy spoke up. His voice was barely above a whisper, yet it carried enough weight to send chills down Alex's spine. "There's something following us." Alex froze mid-motion. His trained ears perked up instantly, scanning the surrounding area for any unusual sounds. Was it a bear? A mountain lion? Or perhaps something even more sinister? "What do you mean?" Alex asked calmly, though his mind was racing. "Can you tell me more?" The younger girl piped up now, her tiny voice quivering with fear. "We don't know what it is. We've been hearing footsteps behind us since yesterday. And sometimes, we hear growling." A cold sweat broke out on Alex's forehead. This wasn't just some stray animal they were dealing with. Whatever it was, it had been stalking these children for hours, if not days. His worst fears started bubbling to the surface. If whatever creature or person was still out there, it meant both the kids and himself were in grave danger. But Alex couldn't afford to panic. Not now. Keeping his composure, he quickly devised a plan. First things first, getting the children to safety. "Listen carefully," he said firmly, meeting each of their gazes. "We need to get moving. Can you walk okay?" Both nodded weakly, though reluctance lingered in their expressions. Alex helped them to their feet and ushered them closer to him, forming a protective barrier between them and whatever lurked in the shadows. As they began making their way back toward the main trail, Alex kept his senses sharp, constantly scanning the trees and listening for any sign of movement. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of twigs made his heart skip a beat. But deep down, he knew he couldn't let his guard down, not until they reached safety. And yet, despite his best efforts, Alex couldn't shake off the feeling that they weren't alone. That something or someone was watching them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The journey back to the main trail was anything but straightforward. The forest seemed alive with tension, every sound magnified in the eerie silence that followed their departure from the clearing. Alex led the way, his flashlight beam cutting through the thick foliage, while the two children clung to him like frightened deer. Their breaths came in shallow gasps, and their small hands trembled against his jacket. As they trudged deeper into the woods, the temperature dropped noticeably. A chilling breeze swept through the trees, sending shivers down everyone's spines. Alex tried to maintain a steady pace, encouraging the kids with soft words of reassurance. "We're almost there," he repeated often, though deep inside, he wasn't entirely sure how far there actually was. The boy, whose name Alex learned was Ethan, occasionally glanced over his shoulder, his eyes darting nervously into the darkness. "Do you think it's still following us?" he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I don't know," Alex admitted honestly, knowing full well that lying wouldn't serve any purpose. "But we're doing everything we can to stay ahead of it." The girl, Lily, remained quiet, her face buried in Alex's arm as if trying to shield herself from whatever horrors lurked behind them. Her silence unnerved Alex more than Ethan's constant questioning. It was as if she had already accepted their fate, resigned to the fact that they might not make it out alive. After what felt like hours, Alex noticed something strange. A faint glimmer of light flickering through the trees ahead. At first, he thought it might be moonlight reflecting off a puddle or stream, but as they drew closer, the source became clearer. It was artificial, a lantern or perhaps a torch. "Stay close," Alex instructed, lowering his voice to a whisper. He didn't want to alert whoever or whatever was up ahead. Slowly, he crept forward, motioning for the children to remain behind him. As he neared the source of the light, he saw a figure standing near a cluster of boulders. The person was hunched over, seemingly unaware of their presence. Alex raised his hand, signaling for the kids to stop. Then, drawing a deep breath, he called out, "Hello? Is anyone there?" The figure froze, then slowly turned around. In the dim light, Alex could see the outline of a man, clad in tattered clothing and wearing a wide-brimmed hat that obscured most of his face. His eyes gleamed eerily in the darkness, fixed on Alex with an intensity that sent a jolt of fear coursing through the ranger's veins. "Who are you?" Alex demanded, his voice firm despite the unease creeping into his chest. "And what are you doing out here?" The man didn't respond immediately. Instead, he took a step closer, his movements deliberate and calculated. Finally, he spoke, his voice low and gravelly. "You shouldn't be here," he said simply, his gaze shifting briefly to the children hiding behind Alex. Ethan peeked around Alex's leg, his curiosity getting the better of him. "Is he the one who's been following us?" he asked, his voice tinged with both fear and defiance. The man chuckled darkly, a sound that echoed unnaturally in the stillness of the night. "Following you? No, child. I've been waiting." Alex's heart sank. Waiting? For what or whom? Before he could press further, the man suddenly lunged forward, moving faster than Alex anticipated. Instinctively, he shoved the children backward, shouting, "Run! Get to the main trail!" Ethan and Lily scrambled away, their tiny feet pounding against the forest floor as they disappeared into the shadows. Alex, meanwhile, stood his ground, ready to confront whatever threat this mysterious man posed. But as he reached for his radio to call for backup, he realized it was dead. Either the battery had drained, or the man had tampered with it earlier. "You won't get away that easily," the man growled, advancing steadily toward Alex. His hands were clenched into fists, and his expression was one of pure malice. Alex backed away slowly, searching for an escape route. He knew he couldn't fight this man alone, not without putting the children at risk. And yet, abandoning them wasn't an option either. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to protect them, no matter the cost. As the standoff continued, Alex couldn't help but wonder, who was this man, and why had he been lurking in the woods, watching the children so intently? The tension between Alex and the mysterious man escalated with every passing second. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, as if nature itself was watching the unfolding drama. The man's eyes glimmered with an unsettling intensity, his movements deliberate yet unpredictable. Alex knew he had to act fast, both for his own survival and for the safety of Ethan and Lily. "Listen," Alex said, raising his hands slightly in a gesture of peace. "I don't know who you are or what you want, but those kids are innocent. They don't belong here. Let me take them back to their parents." The man let out another chilling laugh, shaking his head slowly. "Innocent? Oh, they're far from it." He spat, his voice dripping with venom. "They've been playing games they shouldn't understand. Games that put everyone at risk." Alex frowned, confusion clouding his mind. "What are you talking about? What kind of games?" But the man didn't elaborate. Instead, he took another step forward, closing the gap between them. Alex instinctively reached for the knife holstered at his side, his fingers brushing against the cool metal. If things turned violent, he would need to defend himself, and quickly. Before either of them could make a move, a distant sound pierced through the night. A low growl, deep and guttural, emanating from somewhere deeper within the woods. Both men froze, their attention shifting toward the source of the noise. For a moment, the tension between them dissipated, replaced by a shared sense of dread. "Do you hear that?" Alex whispered, his voice barely audible. "Whatever it is, it's not human." The man's face twisted into a grimace, his earlier confidence faltering. "It's coming," he muttered under his breath, more to himself than to Alex. "And when it does, none of us will be safe." "What is it?" Alex demanded, his grip on the knife tightening. "Tell me what we're dealing with." But the man didn't answer. Instead, he turned abruptly and bolted into the darkness, disappearing into the trees faster than Alex could react. For a brief moment, Alex considered pursuing him, but then he remembered Ethan and Lily. They were still out there, vulnerable and alone. With renewed determination, Alex sprinted in the direction he'd last seen the children go. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat fueling his resolve. He shouted their names repeatedly, hoping they hadn't ventured too far, or worse, stumbled upon whatever creature was stalking them. "Ethan! Lily!" he called out, his voice echoing through the forest. "Stay where you are. I'm coming for you." His flashlight beam swept across the ground, illuminating patches of dirt and fallen leaves. Then, just as hope began to wane, he spotted something. A small, discarded shoe lying near a cluster of bushes. It was unmistakably one of Lily's. "Lily!" Alex cried, rushing toward the spot. As he approached, he heard faint whimpering coming from behind the bushes. Pushing aside the branches, he found both children huddled together, their faces streaked with tears and dirt. "We thought you left us," Ethan sobbed, clinging to Alex's leg like a lifeline. "I would never leave you," Alex assured him, crouching down to meet their frightened gazes. "Now come on, we need to keep moving. Whatever's out here, we can't let it find us." He helped the children to their feet once more, urging them forward with gentle but firm nudges. The growling sound had grown louder now, reverberating through the forest like a warning. Alex knew they were running out of time. As they pressed onward, Alex noticed something strange. The trail they were following seemed to twist and turn unnaturally, leading them in circles rather than toward the main path. Panic began to creep into his thoughts. Was this some sort of trap? Or was the forest itself conspiring against them? Ethan suddenly stopped in his tracks, pointing ahead. "Look!" he exclaimed, his voice tinged with both fear and awe. In the distance, through the dense canopy of trees, Alex saw a faint glow, a sign of civilization. It was the edge of the park, where the main road lay just beyond. Relief washed over him, though he knew they weren't out of danger yet. "Hold my hand," Alex instructed, taking both Ethan and Lily by the wrists. "We're almost there, just a little further." But as they emerged from the forest onto the road, Alex realized the nightmare wasn't over. Standing in their path, blocking their escape, was the same man who had confronted him earlier. Behind him, looming in the shadows, was the source of the growling, a massive, wolf-like creature with glowing red eyes and razor-sharp teeth. "You really thought you could outrun fate?" the man sneered, his expression cold and calculating. Alex stepped protectively in front of the children, his knife drawn and ready. "You won't get near them," he growled, his voice filled with defiance. The man smirked, unfazed by Alex's bravado. "Your courage is admirable, Ranger," he said, his tone mocking. "But tonight it won't be enough." The confrontation on the road was tense, the air thick with an almost palpable sense of dread. Alex stood firm, his knife held out in front of him like a shield, protecting Ethan and Lily from the man and the monstrous creature behind him. The wolf-like beast growled menacingly, its glowing red eyes locked onto Alex, while the man watched with a sinister smirk, clearly enjoying the unfolding drama. "Ethan, Lily?" Alex whispered urgently, keeping his gaze fixed on their adversaries. "Stay behind me no matter what happens. If I tell you to run, you do it without looking back. Understand?" Both children nodded silently, their wide eyes reflecting fear but also trust in Alex's ability to keep them safe. For a brief moment, Alex allowed himself to feel pride for these brave kids who had endured so much already. The man took a step forward, gesturing lazily toward the beast beside him. "You really think that little blade will stop us?" he taunted, his voice dripping with arrogance. "This isn't just some wild animal, Ranger. This is something far older and far deadlier." "What are you?" Alex demanded, his voice steady despite the turmoil brewing inside him. "And what do you want with these kids?" The man chuckled darkly, as if amused by Alex's persistence. "Let's just say they hold the key to something very valuable. Something we've been searching for a long time." "Key?" Alex repeated, confusion clouding his mind. "What kind of key? And why involve innocent children in your twisted schemes?" The man's expression turned grim, his smile fading into a cold glare. "Innocent? Don't kid yourself, Ranger. These children may not realize it yet, but they're part of something bigger than themselves. Something ancient. Something dangerous." Before Alex could press further, the beast let out a deafening roar, lunging forward with lightning speed. Its massive claws swiped at Alex, narrowly missing him as he dove to the side, rolling across the gravel-covered road. The knife slipped from his grasp, skittering several feet away. "Run!" Alex shouted, scrambling to retrieve his weapon. "Ethan, Lily, now!" Without hesitation, the children bolted down the road, their small legs pumping furiously as they raced toward safety. The man cursed under his breath, snapping his fingers sharply. In response, the beast hesitated, turning its attention briefly away from Alex to pursue the fleeing children. Adrenaline surged through Alex's veins as he lunged for his knife, managing to grab it just as the man charged at him. Their collision sent both tumbling to the ground, grappling fiercely. Alex managed to pin the man momentarily, pressing the knife against his throat. "Call off your monster," Alex snarled, his voice raw with desperation. "Or I swear I'll end this right here." For a moment, the man struggled against Alex's grip, but then he laughed, a hollow, chilling sound that sent shivers down Alex's spine. "Go ahead," he spat. "Kill me. See how far that gets you." Realizing the futility of threatening him, Alex released his hold and scrambled to his feet, sprinting after Ethan and Lily. The beast was closing in fast, its powerful strides eating up the distance between them. Alex could hear the children's terrified screams echoing in the night. "Ethan! Lily!" he called out, his heart pounding in his chest. "Keep going. Don't stop." Ahead, Alex spotted a familiar sight, the park's main gate, its lights glowing warmly in the distance. Salvation was within reach, but so was danger. As they neared the gate, Alex noticed a security guard stationed there, chatting casually with another ranger. Spotting the commotion, the guard immediately sprang into action, pulling out his flashlight and shouting orders. "Stop right there," the guard bellowed, aiming his light directly at the advancing beast. Startled by the sudden intrusion, The creature hesitated, letting out a low growl before retreating into the shadows. The man, however, remained undeterred. With a final glare at Alex, he disappeared into the darkness, vanishing as quickly as he had appeared. Alex didn't have time to dwell on it. Instead, he focused on ensuring the children reached safety. Reaching the gate, Alex collapsed to his knees, pulling Ethan and Lily into a tight embrace. Tears streamed down their faces as they clung to him, their bodies shaking with relief and exhaustion. The other ranger hurried over, concern etched onto his face. "What happened out there?" he asked, helping Alex to his feet. "I don't know exactly," Alex admitted, still catching his breath. "But whatever it was, it's not over." As the three of them stood together beneath the park's protective lights, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that the events of this night were merely the beginning of something far greater and far more perilous. The next morning, the sun rose over Pinecrest National Park, casting a golden glow over the dense forest. Despite the beauty of the scene, Alex couldn't shake off the unease that lingered in his mind. The events of the previous night had left him with more questions than answers, and an overwhelming sense of responsibility for Ethan and Lily. After ensuring the children were safe and reunited with their frantic parents, Alex spent hours debriefing with park authorities and local law enforcement. He described the mysterious man and the terrifying creature, but many dismissed his account as the result of exhaustion or stress. Even so, Alex knew what he had seen was real and dangerous. Determined to uncover the truth, Alex returned to the area where he had first encountered the man and the beast. Armed with only his flashlight and a renewed determination, he scoured the ground for any clues that might shed light on the strange occurrences. It wasn't long before he stumbled upon something peculiar. A small, intricately carved wooden box half buried beneath a pile of leaves. Curiosity piqued. Alex carefully unearthed the box and examined it closely. Its surface was adorned with ancient symbols that seemed to pulse faintly under the sunlight, as though alive. A sudden chill ran down his spine as he realized these markings bore a striking resemblance to the tattoos etched onto the man's arms during their encounter. "This has to be connected," Alex murmured to himself, pocketing the box for further inspection. Back at the ranger station, Alex delved into research mode, poring over dusty books and online archives about local legends and folklore. Hours turned into days as he pieced together fragments of forgotten stories, tales of an ancient curse tied to the land, one that awakened whenever certain conditions were met. According to legend, two chosen individuals carried within them the power to either break or perpetuate the curse, depending on their actions. As Alex read deeper, a chilling realization struck him. The descriptions of the chosen ones matched Ethan and Lily almost perfectly. Their ages, birth dates, even specific traits unique to each child. Could it be possible? Were Ethan and Lily unknowingly caught up in this centuries-old conflict? Before Alex could fully process the implications, there was a knock at his office door. Startled, he looked up to see Ethan and Lily standing nervously outside, accompanied by their parents. Their eyes were filled with a mixture of gratitude and concern. "Mr. Carter?" Ethan began hesitantly. "We wanted to thank you again for saving us, but we also need to tell you something." Lily stepped forward, clutching a piece of paper tightly in her hand. "We found this in our tent after we got back last night," she explained, handing the note to Alex. Alex unfolded the paper, his heart sinking as he read its contents. In neat handwriting, the message read, "They know now. The time is near." Below the text was a crude sketch of the same symbol engraved on the wooden box Alex had discovered earlier. "What does this mean?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling slightly. "I don't know yet," Alex replied honestly, though his mind raced with possibilities. "But I promise you, I'll figure it out. And I won't let anything happen to either of you." The children nodded solemnly, trusting Alex implicitly despite the gravity of the situation. As they left, Alex sat alone in his office, staring at the box and the note. For the first time since becoming a ranger, he felt truly overwhelmed, not by nature's challenges, but by forces far beyond his understanding. Yet, amidst the fear and uncertainty, Alex felt a spark of resolve ignite within him. Whatever lay ahead, whatever secrets the forest held, he would face it head-on. Because protecting Ethan and Lily wasn't just his duty, it was his mission. The days that followed were a blur of research, preparation, and uneasy anticipation. Alex immersed himself in unraveling the mystery surrounding Ethan and Lily, delving deeper into ancient texts, consulting historians, and even reaching out to experts in paranormal studies. Each new discovery only deepened the complexity of the situation. Yet one thing became increasingly clear. Ethan and Lily weren't mere victims. They were key players in a centuries-old struggle. As the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, Alex learned of an impending convergence, a rare celestial event that would amplify the power tied to the curse. According to legend, this alignment would occur in 3 days, culminating at the heart of Pinecrest National Park, near the ancient oak tree where Alex had first found the children. Determined to protect them at all costs, Alex devised a plan. He contacted a trusted colleague, Sarah, who specialized in indigenous lore and rituals. Together, they worked tirelessly to craft a protective ceremony designed to shield Ethan and Lily from the forces threatening them. It was risky, untested, and fraught with unknowns, but it was their best chance. On the eve of the convergence, Alex gathered Ethan, Lily, and their parents at the park headquarters. The atmosphere was tense, filled with both fear and hope. Sarah led the group through the ritual preparations, explaining each step with calm precision. Alex stood watch, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of danger. When the appointed hour arrived, the group made their way to the ancient oak tree. The forest seemed alive with energy, the air charged with an otherworldly hum. As the stars aligned overhead, forming the pattern described in the legends, Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. This was it, the moment of truth. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled violently, and shadows coalesced around the clearing. From the darkness emerged the same man Alex had encountered before, his features twisted with malice. Behind him loomed the monstrous creature, its glowing red eyes fixed on Ethan and Lily. "You can't stop what's meant to be," the man shouted, raising his arms as if summoning some unseen force. Without hesitation, Alex stepped forward, placing himself between the children and their pursuers. "Try me," he growled, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling around them. Sarah initiated the final phase of the ritual, chanting words in a language older than time itself. The symbols etched onto the wooden box Alex carried flared brightly, casting a radiant light across the clearing. The man recoiled, shielding his face from the brilliance, while the beast let out a deafening roar. In that moment, Ethan and Lily joined hands, their combined strength amplifying the power of the ritual. A surge of energy erupted from them, enveloping the clearing in a blinding white light. The man screamed in fury as the shadows dissipated, and the creature vanished into thin air. When the light faded, the clearing was silent once more. The man and the beast were gone, leaving behind only echoes of their presence. Alex turned to Ethan and Lily, relief washing over him as he realized they were safe. "Well done," Sarah said softly, smiling at the children. "You've done something truly remarkable." For a long while, no one spoke. The weight of the night's events settled heavily upon them, but there was also a sense of triumph, a shared victory against overwhelming odds. As dawn broke over Pinecrest National Park, Alex watched the children playfully chase each other through the trees, their laughter ringing out like music. In that moment, he knew he had fulfilled his promise, to protect them no matter the cost. Though questions still lingered about the true nature of the curse and its origins, Alex resolved to continue uncovering the truth. For now, however, he allowed himself a rare moment of peace, knowing that the battle had been won, and the bond he'd formed with Ethan and Lily would endure forever. The end.